All right, that works. Welcome everyone to this week's IPLD sync meeting. It's February the 13th, 2023. And as every 2 weeks, we quickly go over the stuff that people have worked on. And then we discuss any open agenda items or if there's questions or anything else people want to chat about. So in the round of updates, I have first in the list is Rod.
Okay, let me find my list. Okay, I've amongst the little tiny things, the major thing that I did in the last couple of weeks was did a lot of refactoring in the GoCar v2 package. There's a really nice block store interface in GoCar. You can use it as just a block store backing, and in fact, there's some serious production stuff that use it for some serious work. So it's quite a nice interface, but it uses all the old IPFS style block store APIs, which are a little bit clunky and big. And I wanted something a bit more minimal, and I wanted it to work natively with Go IPLD Prime, because to do that with a block store, you have to do this wrapping dance where you wrap a block store in this thing that will be compatible with IPLD Prime. And I also wanted a version of it that was write only, where you could just write to it and it would stream, so that you get a stream of car contents out the other end of it. So instead of messing with the block store thing, because it's a little bit, the implementation is a little bit hairy, I implemented a new one called storage. And I've got the links in the notes, but in GoCar in the V2, there's a new storage package. And in that, you can make a readable or a writable or a read-writable car that is compatible with the Go IPLD Prime storage API. So if you've got a link system, you can just say add read storage or set read storage or set write storage, or both, with this thing that you've created that's a car, and it will work natively with IPLD Prime. And the nice thing is it doesn't touch any of the old APIs. There's no block abstraction or anything. So it's like IPLD native. And it also has the writable thing, so you can set. So one of the ways I'm using it is set it as a write storage for a link system, and then you just write your blocks with IPLD Prime, and they come out of this IO writer stream as just this constant stream of car bytes, and then you end it, and you've streamed a full car without saving it persistent anywhere. But you can also use it as a read write, so you can use it as a sort of a backing block store, like the block store interface. So that worked out really well. The other thing of note is not mine, but Alex Pacides did some work on the JS IPFS UnixFS implementation, and he got around to finishing off the implementation of some test fixtures in UnixFS for auto sharding. So that's the point at which UnixFS will stop giving you just plain blocks with the directories in them and turn it into a hamped. So there's this size that it gets to, this number, where it'll flip over and start giving you this hamped encoded directories. And we built this test fixtures, I think it was last year. I extracted them from Kubo and put them into Go UnixFS node. And we got the two Go implementations matching. And now Alex has just got the JavaScript one matching. So now there's this auto sharding thing that is by default to this number, that when you're writing directories, as soon as you bump over this specific byte number, it'll flip to sharding. And the test fixtures match in the same way. So same CIDs for these really complicated test fixtures. It sounds small, but it's really quite a significant thing to just get the same hashes for really complicated operations across the different languages. So I think that's worth celebrating. So the other thing is I have I have a Go demo, a Go example code. I'm just working on updating it now, but I'm going to put it in the notes and I'll finish updating it and get it updated in place. I did this for someone in the IPLD channel, which is on Discord and I don't know where, a matrix, I don't know, it's bridged in a bunch of different places. Somebody was asking about, they were creating their own DAG PB blocks and writing them to a car in Go, and it was all very confusing. And I did an example up, and it turns out the example actually uses a lot of this stuff, and it even used the new Go car storage system. So it was a nice example to put all the pieces together. I'm just cleaning it up to make it use some of the newer APIs. And if anyone's interested in using the Go stack to do this kind of thing, we're having a conversation in there and I'm updating the example. So I'll get that done after or during the meeting, and that might be interesting for folks. That's it for me.
Thanks. So in the meeting notes, I don't have anyone else, but does anyone else want a quick update? Or yeah.
Sure. I don't have edit access, so I wasn't able to add myself.
Oh, is this?
But
it should be public. Okay, I will check. Yep.
Okay. Or I don't know how to use the system, but I'm not able to edit anything, only comment. So, but yeah, my update's pretty brief. From 2 weeks ago, working on the Rust DAG host bits. We have a new repo that we created under the Redbox ceramic umbrella. And we think it's working, and we're not quite using it in production yet, but will be soon. And however, when building that, there was some extra work I had to do to make it friendly, and it seems like that work would be valuable to upstream. And so I created this issue. I will just link it in the Zoom chat for now. Keep it simple. But in short, there's a bytes type that would be valuable to add, or something like this, because in the Serde derive macro system, if you put a VEC-U8 in your struct, it treats it as an IPLD list of integers as opposed to a byte sequence. And so you don't get good encoding as a result. And you can't get spec compliant encoding in the case of DAG Jose. So anyways, I created that type. It's really simple. It might be nice to just take that type and move it to the lib IPLD repo for others to consume. But yeah, that's all I have for today.
Thanks. Can you quickly post the link to the repository for DAG Jose in the Zoom chat, and I will put it into the
Yes.
notes. In regards to the bytes type, isn't, I think the CBOR one is using the Serde bytes thing. Would this work for your use case as well? Like
maybe there's a way to do it. I couldn't figure it out other than creating my own type, but if there's another way, I would love to also hear about that.
Yeah, I can post on the issues. So basically, as it is a known problem, or like a big problem in the Serde world, that like what's the difference between bytes and a vector of
U8,
U8, right? There is the Serde _ bytes crate, which basically everyone is using, which is, I think, exactly this. But I would need to check. But I think it's exactly this, and this is what people use for bytes, if they want to give bytes.
Okay, perhaps then this is what I'll just use. That'll be great.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Does anyone else have any updates or wants to share something? No. Then I might have an item which is about like kind of like the future of this meeting. So I would be interested in like, which time zones are your guys in? Like, is it morning, night, or middle of the day for you? I'm asking because the period is like this meeting basically has this time slot between it's kind of doable for people in on the US, like in the US easily, but it's doable in Central Europe as well as in Eastern Australia. So yeah, so the question is if we could as I'm not that much into IPLD anymore, if we could move it to a different slot, for example, for Australia and the US, to make it easier for Australia. But yeah, I see that you are in Germany, so someone is in Germany, which makes it difficult because then it's in the middle of the night. All right.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm not a core dev. I'm really just here for my own education. I can listen to the recordings if it's in the middle of the night for me. And I spend yeah, no big deal.
Okay, yeah, we're just basically thinking about like if we could. So basically, because like the current like main IPLD developer is Rod, obviously, and I also agree that like so yeah, it makes sense to make it easier for him. And also like for the majority of the people, basically. Or also like if you like would be interested in like why do you find this meeting useful? So basically, why do you join would also be interesting, because like there's also like a triage meeting, for example. So the question is like, do we merge those meetings? Do we have separate meetings? Or like so I'd like to hear from you folks basically like, why are you here today?
There was a critique about this meeting, which is it's grown out of just us sharing our status. When there was a group of us much more focused on IPLD work, it was our sync meeting and it was public, and it's grown into more of a community call, which is what we want. But it's still got this this legacy of us sharing the stuff that we've done, which I suspect is probably a bit interesting for people, but it means it's still very focused on the sort of core implementer perspective. And what would be nice is to have a bit more of a focus on what people are doing with IPLD. So maybe we can do have folks demo what they're doing, or talk about challenges they're having, or share a little presentation on something. My thought with this meeting was if we could turn it into maybe a once a month and have an agenda for it, and we go around and find folks to present something and then have discussions on various topics. We can also talk about things that are, major things that have done, like we have done, like big changes, big new libraries or whatever, if anything else gets done. But it'd be nice if it was more focused on what people are doing with IPLD.
So from my perspective, I'm almost West Coast US. This is so my mid-afternoon. I'm flexible whenever. I'm here just to network and learn things like Sorte bytes so that I can just make sure I'm not just off on an island as I work on this code, just help out where I can. And then, I mean, at Ceramic, we're doing a lot with IPLD, but mostly in Rust, or soon to be more in Rust than we are. And so happy to help beyond what our scope is, to help the Rust IPLD ecosystem grow as needed. So that's what I'm looking to get out of it.
Cool.
Yeah. So for me, I'm lately just trying to keep up to date with the ecosystem and the project, and I'm hopeful that in the next couple of months I'll begin something related to IPLD. But yeah, I'm just keeping myself up to date with these things.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm hoping that at some point this year I will have something to present in this group, but it's down the road for me to have any informed opinion of any decisions this group makes. So it's fine if it's totally async. I don't mind listening to recordings instead.
Yeah, and it's also like as we so this meeting like used to happen or there was a point in time when it happened really weekly, because we were basically a bigger team and had so many updates, so it just makes sense. But now if I look, it's also like the updates are not like that big anymore, so even for 2 weeks. So perhaps, yeah, it might make sense to move it to monthly and then see what happens, because like we can always like increase or decrease like anytime. Like that's if it turns out that we always run over time and whatever, then it's totally free. We can totally change it again. But the question again is like, is perhaps monthly not often enough to be regular?
I think that my experience running working groups and coordinating teams is that the frequency of the meeting matters less if there is more steady asynchronous interaction. Like if there were a Slack, Discord, and/or Matrix channel that gets posted to most business days, it doesn't matter how frequently you meet because you stay on each other's minds. So it's like if you decrease the meeting frequency, but there's a little uptick in channel chatter, then it's easy to still get the same amount of work done together.
I agree to some extent, but there's one thing that that is different, which is the videos and the community that follows the meetings and not the channels. So yeah, so I guess we have to consider that, but I would say that with the resources we have and the people we have, maybe a monthly meeting would be enough, at least before we get more and more people involved and get, yeah, I guess build more community and momentum to participate in the meetings. And then I guess it will become more natural to have people present and do stuff without having to chase down people to present or to do something for the agenda. So
Yeah, so I guess it sounds like we should push harder to make it like this a sync meeting rather than a like community meeting, so even more basically, and that we also kind of invite people more to basically also talk about like what they use IPLD for and not just like when they work directly on IPLD. So basically having both words, because as both worlds are still so small, we can just basically have everything in one meeting, because it's not enough to fill several meetings.
yep.
Yeah, cool. So so thanks for the input, everyone. Yeah, so we will think about it, I guess. Yeah, cool. Anything else? If not, then I will close the meeting, and if everyone wants to hang out for the after party, in case there's something you want to share that shouldn't be live streamed, feel free to stick around. Else, thanks everyone, and at least for now, we see us again in 2 weeks, and then we go from there. Bye everyone.
Thanks.